Alright, just get myself set up in the chat here. Get my chat filter set to all messages so I don't miss anything if you guys jump in there. Just wanted to get in here and show you guys we're going to do here with this desert ironwood and turquoise blank that we inlaid last night. We're just going to get this turned round and filled in, finished up, and put together. I want to see what it looks like, see how it turns out here. Yeah, adjust your guys' angle just a little bit there. There we go. It's a little better. So we let this harden overnight. We got a nice CA buildup on here. It's up above the line of the wood, which is above the line of the bushings, which is what you want. So that way you can turn it down and then get down to the stones underneath. Hopefully we got a nice good infill with our thin CA glue that it filled in all those voids and gaps and everything in between all those individual little tiny stones. The only way to know is to turn it and find out. Just that up just slightly there. I think I'm going to change over to my sharper. What is it? I forget the round one. Yeah, it's cutting better. There we go. We've gotten down to the wood there. I think that's looking pretty good. Let's clean up the other side. Got that almost down to the bushing on that side. Clean up this side a little bit. got a cut. I got a hole right there. I got to fill. A small one right there. Let's get my picks out here. Clean this up. Ouch! If I don't stab myself with the pick first. Clean that out there. Let's see. Is that, yep, there's a hole there. Let's see. Have any other holes there? Just those two? Well, that's fortunate. Usually I end up with a few more than that. Good infill. You're gonna let my dog in. I forgot she's outside. She hears the neighbors over there talking. She wants to get out there and play with them, and they don't want to play. All right. Oh, we got one tiny hole here. Looks like a stone came out of it right there. One tiny hole right there. We'll just fill these in with a little thin, ultra thin CA. One right there too. Not too bad. Okay. Clean it up, a little denatured alcohol. We'll backfill this. Just get any dust out of there. Before we go on to our sanding. Let's see. Oh, that's clogged. A new whippet on there. Okay, get that right against the holes there. Just fill that in with a little ultra thin. Let's see, where else did we have a hole? Looks like I got both of those. Had one right there. Get them. There we go. And where's the other one right there? That's a real tiny one. There's the last one. Right there. That looks like a success to me. All right, we'll just touch those up with a scraper here. let's flip them around. We'll work on the other side. Get that one finished off. Then we can sand this up, polish it smooth, and put her together. A little uneven there, let's rotate that. Got a little bit of a bulbous right here. Fix that. Make sure we don't have any holes again, anything that popped out while we were bringing that down to size. I don't see anything. Let's look at, oh, I got one tiny spot right there. Just the tiniest little spot. There we go. Oh, one right there too. Sometimes you turn them down the rest of the way, you uncover new little areas. It's one thing to note, if you guys are pen turners and you do inlay work, I charge just a little bit extra for inlay work because of the attention to detail that I give each piece in order to guarantee that you take care of these little flaws, these little things that happen. It takes a little extra time, little extra care, a little extra finesse, attention to detail, but it's that attention to detail that gives it just that little bit extra spark. All right. I think those will finish up with a little sanding, so we'll get on to that. Now this is a really oily wood, so I could probably get away with wet sanding it. I don't think that would harm it. And especially with the CA glue on there, I kind of want a wet sand, because that heats up a lot if you use regular sandpaper. Turn our speed down, 1600 RPM or so, I find to be like a good rotation speed for sanding. Right now we're at 1470, it's good enough. That's 600. Let's see, what do we got here? This is 320. I think that should be good. Got a really nice finish on the wood already. Just need to touch it up a little bit here. Level out some of the roughness. 2 spots. That 320 is doing a really good job. With the slurry we're getting on there, it means it's working, it's magic. go ahead and stop it, sand with the grain. So with wood especially, when you're sanding and you've got it spinning, I always like to stop and sand with the grain afterward. Gets rid of any of your circular scratch marks that you may have imparted. If you have an area where you pressed a little bit too hard, then going back and going with the grain will get rid of those circular, tubular scratch marks that are going with the round, I guess. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I know what I'm trying to say, I just don't know how to say it. The words are not coming to me today. Need more coffee, apparently. It's entirely too early in the morning, late afternoon for a guy that works nights. Alright, let's clean this off, see what we got. That is gross. One of the benefits of wet sanding this is also the fact that this is a really oily wood, and so by wet sanding it, we're not heating up the wood and causing more of those oils to secrete outward. So we can go on to our finish a little bit faster afterward. Looks like I got a little spot of glue right there, gotta get cleaned up. For anybody wondering, this is a 3M professional wet dry sandpaper. I really like the professional one. You can buy like the black ones in the stores, but I like to get these purple ones. They have like a something about the adhesive that they use to hold the sanding grit on there. I think works a little bit better. Let's clean that up again, see what we got. That piece of paper is not working out anymore. Alright, let's see. Grab a new cloth here. Those glue marks, looks like we did. I don't see a shine spot there anymore. Yeah, it's looking good. We've got a little, looks like an indent. Can't feel it. I can see something right there though. Not sure. I'll just sand that, see if we smooth it out any. Just barely 55 degrees in my shop today. It's a nice, brisk spring morning here in Oregon. Just warm enough to be comfortable, just cool enough to give me the sniffles a little bit still. Yeah, that spot is still there. What is that? I wonder if that's glue. Let's sand there for a second. Turn the lathe on and sand it for a moment, see if it doesn't go away. Just want to get that all nice and cleaned up before we go on to our next grit. 600 grit will be our next grit up the line. And the 600, while is strong, not quite strong enough to fix any imperfections in the wood. It's like your first grit that really kind of starts polishing things up. So we want to get rid of any imperfections with the 320, which I kind of consider to be like the lightest of the grains that fixes imperfections. You can go to a 400 grit, but I think 400 is kind of it's a medium. It doesn't really grab and remove enough material to fix imperfections, but it's not quite polished yet at that point either. Just kind of a in between. Okay, I'm not seeing. Yeah, there was like a glossy line, almost like an indent, a concave, but it wasn't. But it's gone now. I think it was just a glue spot, a little indent that was filled in with glue, and that's why I couldn't feel it, because the glue filled it in, but it gave it a glossy section. Looks like it's all gone. All right, let's move on up to our 600 grit, and we can do our CA finish, and polish it and assemble it. Got water over here to the side I'm cleaning the polishing paper out with. You want to keep your paper clean so it doesn't build up gunk in the abrasive. Any built up gunk in the abrasive can start scratching your wood, and that'll ruin the spot that you're at. You end up with all these little scratch marks in there you don't want. Just clean that out. Come back and go with the grain here. Desert Ironwood has really nice contrasting colors there. I'm really happy with that decision. I kind of chose the Desert Ironwood because the Desert Ironwood and the Turquoise come from the same regions of southern North America, Central America. So there was a good, nice pairing for just doing a test, because I will be selling this afterward. I'll put it up for sale in my Etsy store. You guys can check that out. Etsy.com/suitscrafting, and you'll be able to find this online later on this evening, hopefully. If I get time to post it tonight, we'll see. Grab another scratch of cloth here. Patch of cloth. Scratch of cloth. What on earth is a scratch of cloth? Nice thing about being live, you guys get to hear all the stuff that I usually cut out. All these little conversations to myself that don't usually make the video. Because if it did, you guys would think I was crazy. Of course, now that we're live, there's no doubting that at all now. Alright, that looks good. Got just a little bit of fogginess to our CA glue, which should come out as we polish it up. So let's go ahead and get to that. Get a CA finish on there now so we can get to our polishing. Just throwing on my non-stick bushings here that I made in a previous video. We use these in order to put our CA finish on. How's that look? Is that spinning pretty good? It's pretty true. Yeah, spins good. Get my kit out here. Grab a little baggie for my finger. Save your little baggies when you pull them out of your pen kits because they go great for over your fingers so you don't glue your patches to yourself. So I just tear off these pieces of blue shop towel, and then what I'll do is I'll fold them in so the torn edges are to the inside. This one I'll do in thirds because that's a good width for what I'm doing here. And then you have folded edges to the outside so you don't end up with any of the fuzzes from the torn off pieces getting onto your blank. Oh, come on. My glue cap is stuck. Oh, it's not nice. Ah, there we go. Broke it free. Okay, put my baggie back on. And we'll turn this on to our slowest speed, at least on this belt setting, is 1100 RPM, which is plenty slow enough. My last lathe, it slowed down to about 500 RPM, which worked really well for doing finishes. I gotta get it back up and running. The starter on that one went out. And, ooh, got a little fuzz there. There we go. Take that off. It's got a little starter capacitor on it, and it went out. I found a replacement for it, but I just haven't installed it yet. We'll do about 3 coatings of medium glue boost here, and then 2 coatings of thin. That should give us a nice protective barrier. You know what? I forgot to clean that with denatured alcohol, but you can't even tell because it's got such a nice finish to it. We cleaned it up enough apparently with our cloths. You can't even tell that I didn't clean it. So now I'm going to do thin CA here. That was not enough. There we go. Get it nice and wet. I think we'll do 3 or 4 coats of thin, give it a nice hard polish. The medium is more of a flexible coating that you put on the inside, and then the thin is a little harder, a little bit more durable, and it polishes nicer than the medium does. You get a higher sheen out of it. And it also helps to smooth out all of the little bumps and ripples that you get with the medium. There we go. 4 coats. And that CA finish is done. Now when we got done with the medium, there was like a little bit of an orange peel finish to it, and as you can see, that has smoothed out nicely. And it looks like I glued my bushing to my steel mandrel here. Have to get that off. To do that, I usually just grab a skew chisel here and just kind of pick and slice along the until I get underneath, and off it pops. Okay, grab my bushings again, clean them up. And sandpaper. I need to grab sandpaper and my stool. So, because the next step after you do a CA finish, you end up with this, I don't know, flashing, you might call it, sits off the end of your bushing, or off the end of your blank, and that flash thing you need to get cleaned off. So I just take a piece of sandpaper and then I just hold it flat and do nice small round circles. That was redundant, until I get it cleaned back down to the wood. Now you can start to see I've got on the brass, it's not as shiny on this side as it is on this side. It means that I'm kind of canted a little bit too much to that side. Need to sand more to this side. I'm down to the wood here, but I've still got CA glue on this end. So I'm going to lean a little bit more to the side that I wasn't getting, and then get that flattened out correctly. That's getting better. There we go. Now you can test that you've got it flat by taking your bushing and pushing it onto the end and then rotating. And as long as the gap that goes all the way around is the same size, then you know that you've got it completely flat and 90 degree to your barrel that runs the inside of your bushing. It's real obvious if you've sanded an angle on your blank when you do this test, because as you're rotating it, you'll notice like all of a sudden there's a section that kind of flares outward, and then you end up, it would kind of look like that. But just on the one side, and then as you rotate around, it would close up, and then it'd work back out, and then close up. So you just got to watch for that while you're doing this hand sanding like this, in order not to ruin your geometries of your blank. Almost down to the brass on this one. There we go. Sawdust just changed color, went from being kind of an off-white to this orange. So now I know I've got wood exposed. Looks like I've got even wear and scratch marks on the brass all the way around. I don't have any shiny spots. Let's check my bushings. And I don't have any gaps at all as I rotate that around. Looks real clean. So now we can put that back on the mandrel here. Get that polished up. Now to polish, I'm just going to be using these polishing pads, 1500 through 12,000 there, you can see that. I write on the ends of my pads so I know what the grit is. It's rare, but I've dropped the whole stack of pads and had to reorganize them all. And it's a sucky day when that happens. You gotta clean them all up, pick dust up off your floor. It's really unfortunate. So I write on all the ends of my pads in order to know what the grits are in case that happens. Alright, so using real light pressure, just back and forth on this real slow. If you go too fast back and forth, then you can impart scratches that go this way that are very obvious across your blank. And so you want to just take a light pressure, just back and forth, moving it on your pad so no spot on your pad dries out and heats up, keeps that water against your blank, and moves the slurry out of your way. Lets you see how much work you're doing. Now when I first started, I don't know if you could hear it, but you could kind of hear how rough the finish was, and then the more that I moved across it, the finish smoothed out and now is really smooth. No bumps or ripples, no peaks or valleys. It's all just smooth now. So we'll work our way through our next grits. Here's our 1800. And you don't need very long on each of these grits, just enough till you start to see a little bit of a slurry building up. That's how you know that you've worked that grit through and it's removed a little bit of material, and then you can move on to your next one. So now 2400. $3,200. Now this is the last pad that you'll really notice difference in how much it kind of cuts into the polished coating. So this is one of the last grits where you'll actually see like a good slurry building up. The rest of them will just be more of a polish than actually cutting into the C8 finish and removing layers. They're getting less and less abrasive over time, so you'll notice less of a slurry building up. That's what I'm trying to say. Alright, 4,000 grit. Six thousand grit. It's about the most boring part about this. Very monotonous, very just kind of relaxed. You got to pay attention to what you're doing, but your brain kind of wants to go off other places sometimes too, or is that just my ADD mind? I don't know. ADD? Not ADD. But I'm curious, though, if there are people out there that do pen turning that have ADD, because it seems like it's something you can do quickly, but you need a certain amount of focus for in order to get good results and really watch and be patient on some of the steps. I don't know. It might be difficult, but I'm sure that there are ways to overcome it. ADD is something we're learning more and more about all the time. There we go. Feels good. Clean that off and do a little bit of Hut Ultra Gloss polish compound on here. Got dried off. Take a look at her. It's got a nice finish already on there. Alright, get some Hut Ultra Gloss on here. And to do this, I turn it up to about 2,000 RPMs. Put that wet compound across there and then press in and get it nice and warmed up. And then it will kind of cut and polish into the blank. And you'll start feeling the warmth through the pad of your finger there. And then clean off with a clean section of patch. There we go. Now I've started doing 2 polishings on my blanks. I noticed that I would get just the ever slightest little scratches after the first polish, and then after the second polish it just smoothed everything out really nicely. So I've actually started doing a double polish with the Hut Ultra Gloss in order to alleviate any of those micro scratches that I was starting to notice in some of my pens. that's all set, so we'll get in here and we will get this put together. That out of the way. Hot ultra gloss put away. Get my assembly jig on here. Whoop. The leg of the camera stand is in the way there. Alright. That down. Those bushings put away. And get my pen kit out here. Pop that out. Pop out the live center. Get my assembly tools put in. I don't think I've put one of these together before. I think this is the first time, so we're going to learn about this together. That's clearly a mechanism. Oh, here's a spring. That looks like a top. It's a really long bottom section here. Getting text messages galore. Almost never get phone calls, text messages. Go live, get them all the time. Alright, let's see. What did I do with the instructions for this? Phooey. What did I do with it? I had them out yesterday. Set them down. And that was my first mistake. Pulled them out to verify that they use the same bushings as the well, shoot. Guess we'll just figure this out together. It looks to me like we actually put this assembly together first. This would slide in. So I think we just, yeah, because there's no pressure fittings. This is a slip fit right here. So that's a slip fit. And then it's just barely the size of the inside of the barrel. That is a pressure fitting right there. So that's going to be pressure fit into here. I think we put our ink together first. I love it when they do this with the springs. It's got this small flared end that flares inward. It's not flared, constricts inward. So that drops down there. The mechanism here, it's got to go over the top, threads in. Okay, just like that. Good. Now we're going to take our top piece here, find where we want the clip to go. I think that's a good spot right there. And then I'm going to take a flat piece of blank here, put it right there so I don't damage my CA glue finish. Press in that top. Now that should slide inside And oh, voila! Click into place. Look at that. Nice twist pen. It's got nice lines. Whoops, over tightened it. Who knew? Pull that back out. I didn't tighten it enough, did I? Why is that stuck? What the heck? Oh, it's stuck in the tip. Jeez. Well, I'll have to take a small, got a little sharpener. I'll run it down the inside of that and clean up that inside. But yeah, ink's getting stuck out there. I'll have to get that fixed. But yeah, all in all, that's a great little kit. I like the lines of that. Twists right there. Yeah, that's nice. Oh, looks like it's working itself out. There we go. Worked itself out. I like that. Check out our inlay in there. It's a nice pen. Alright, like I said, I'll get that online tonight. You guys can go on and buy it. Suitscrafting.etsy.com or etsy.com/suitscrafting. Have that available. You guys can pick that up. Thanks so much for joining me out in the Suits Crafting Wood Shop. This is Suits Crafting Tactical Painter signing out. Oh, I got a comment. Maybe I'll look at my comments here. Vinny Bao. Baio. B-A-I-O. Looks great. Thank you so much, Vinny. I greatly appreciate that. Thanks so much for joining me out here. That's cool. You guys take care.